Hello, sweet souls. Welcome to Soul Love. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Mafalda, and on this channel, I dive deep into the twin flame awakening and all that it entails. I offer guidance, wisdom, insight to assist fellow divine feminines and divine masculines on this wild journey of awakening and anchoring higher consciousness on the planet, which is exciting, scary, and life-changing all at once. So today's video is actually a profound yet grounded guide to help you navigate your counterpart's return if you are currently experiencing this, or if you'd like to be prepared once this does happen for you on your journey. And in fact, this video was inspired by a question I received a few months back from one of you. So thank you so much. I'll take this moment to say that I really appreciate all of your kind words, your comments, your encouragement, your suggestions for topics. Truly, it's just such a beautiful experience to connect with you on this journey, because it's so important that we establish these beautiful bonds so that we strengthen the collective vibrational frequency for all twins and all of humanity. So thank you for your contribution. It really warms my heart, and I just wish all of you the best on your journeys. So thank you for that. This video is a response to one of your questions. And it's a video that I designed to help you discern whether you are experiencing an authentic physical reunion window, a union timeline convergence in the physical. So union, right? We hear about this concept all the time, whether you're facing a real reunion window, or if you're facing a karmic reentry, so a reunion that's meant to catalyze deeper healing and to reveal karmic entanglements or subconscious ancestral wounding that needs love, that needs care, that needs addressing. So I do have some notes with me, as you can see, just to help me get through everything in a way that's coherent and clear, hopefully concise and to the point, so that this wisdom, this information, this teaching can land as purely as possible. So I find that this topic is particularly relevant in the current time period we are living, we're navigating, we're moving through, because many of us, many twins are experiencing the return of their divine masculine or their counterpart, their matrix twin, their 3D twin. At the moment, we are in a very ripe period for union as we're approaching the end of 2025, and of course the beginning of 2026. That's going to be very potent for union manifestation, for the embodiment of union in the physical realm for so many twins. Unions are coming in more and more, and there are more and more twins in the collective who are stabilizing union frequency within and without. So it becomes more important to talk about the practical, psychological, and energetic and emotional aspects of our counterparts' return, so that if and when it does happen, we are not caught off guard, and we can anchor in our inner wisdom, our intuition, and allow our higher self to lead the way. So our divine masculine, or our 3D matrix twin, it tends to be the divine masculine in this case, may re-enter before either counterpart, either twin, is ready for full physical convergence and the embodiment of multi-dimensional union. This may happen, and it's not a sign that anything is wrong. It is divinely orchestrated, and it's meant to trigger those still subconscious wounds, entanglements that need to be addressed, and those layers of grief, of shame, etc., that need to be brought to the surface. And so that's what an early return means. It's what it's meant to catalyze. Or you may actually be before your full multi-dimensional reunion window. And as I was saying just now, this is becoming more and more common. So there's absolutely no right or wrong here. It's just about soul blueprint, soul destiny, and the readiness of both counterparts for union. So our job, your job, is to avoid delays or unnecessary cycles of looping in trauma attachment. So those cycles that do take place in the earlier stages of separation between twins. And so our job is to as I just said, as I just mentioned, it's to make sure that we don't keep slipping into lower timelines and keep recreating those cycles of reentry that just end in separation and in repeating the same wounded dynamic that's coming from an unconscious place of trying to keep the connection alive while resisting the growth and the transformation that comes from silence and from detachment. So hopefully this video will help you discern what type of window you're in, if you are in one of these windows. And do let me know in the comments section if you are experiencing any of this. Of course, it's always so lovely to hear your stories, your experiences, and it does help others to feel less alone. Of course, if you do want one-to-one guidance and healing work, feel free to reach out to me. You can also do that. But if you want to just share where you're at on the journey, then feel free to leave me a comment, to leave us a comment. All right, so there are two types of returns, as I just outlined, and they do feel radically different because one is led by soul blueprint, by our higher self's readiness and field coherence, and the other one is led by unresolved wounding. Of course, even the one that's led by unresolved wounding is still divinely orchestrated, because there is no potential for union embodiment in the physical realm if we haven't resolved our trauma, our wounding, our ancestral, of course, wounding and patterning and conditioning, societal conditioning. So all these layers, they must come to the surface. And it is aligned when they do. So either or, both types of reunion windows are led by our higher self. However, they have different purposes and they signal different things for both counterparts. So let's first take a look at the physical reunion and timeline convergence markers. So what helps us identify a physical reunion window and what to look out for, basically. So both of these reentries are, of course, sacred and transformative. I just really want to reiterate that. I want to emphasize this message so that you don't feel discouraged if you are currently experiencing a karmic reentry. And by karmic reentry, when I say that, what I mean by that is a karmic reentry of your counterpart, your twin, because of course we do have karmic entanglement with our counterpart, particularly those of us who've been on Earth for quite some time, quite an amount of lifetimes. All right, without further ado, let's look at these markers. So what will you notice in yourself, in your counterpart, and in the field when you are approaching and you are noticing the changes that are signaling an authentic physical reunion window? The energy and the psyche will feel cautious yet vulnerable, and that's specifically and for both counterparts, but especially the divine masculine as they are approaching, or the matrix twin that's making their reentry in the physical. They will be emotionally sincere, as will you. There will be accountability taken on both parts, but particularly our divine masculine that's reentering after they may have projected a lot of their subconscious wounding onto us, and that may have resulted in quite some actions that were and behaviors that were disrespectful and that dismissed us or disregarded the connection and our sovereignty. So the energy will feel stable, even if it does feel charged. It will feel stable. It's not destabilizing because we are anchored in our sense of self and our sense of connection to the divine, to our creator, to a higher power. Communication unfolds steadily and naturally, even if it's slow building. So it's not necessarily, and most likely not, a fantastical fairy tale like reentry whereby they fully disclose that they love us unconditionally and they completely regret the ways they treated us, although an apology may surface, may come through eventually. But it tends to be a lot more slow building, a lot more cautious. These reentries tend to take place after periods of silence, longer or shorter, but deep, deep silence and deep, deep resets, deep recalibration, deep trauma and shadow work. And so they are cautious, they're reverent, and we can feel that. We as divine feminines or as the spiritual twin feel internally stable and neutral. We feel zero attachment. And let me say, I know this may be difficult to imagine or hard to believe, especially if you are living through the darkest parts of separation, the dark night of the soul and ego death. But please trust me, it is absolutely possible. We anchor a state of neutrality and of non-attachment to outcome, no expectation. And that's what allows for this reentry to be sustainable and to anchor long-term union in the physical realm, to not let it be a short-lived reunion cycle that's more karmic in nature and in which the energy is a lot more unstable. There's still a lot of attraction and repulsion, or the push and pull as it's normally called or referred to. So you've anchored into inner peace and mission alignment at this point. So if you are experiencing this, you'll know exactly what I mean. And inner peace does not mean emotional numbness. It does not mean that you don't feel so-called negative emotions. You can, of course, feel them, but you do not attach to them. You don't merge with them, and you don't mistake yourself for them. You maintain perspective, and you maintain your station of identity. You maintain a higher vantage point as you're feeling your way through those emotions. So those would be the signs to look for, the markers, better said. Now, what if you are experiencing a karmic loop with your counterpart or a catalyst reunion cycle? What would be the markers for that type of physical reentry? Well, even if they initially appear warm or sweet or interested in reconnecting in the physical, there will be a tone of hot and cold behavior. There will be inconsistent or incoherent communication and actions. You will sense their avoidant energy. They might breadcrumb. They might send cryptic, subtle, energetic, or digital pings, for example, that leave you questioning their intentions, where you're not sure whether they're returning for commitment, accountability, and full anchoring in the physical, but rather you get a sense that they're coming back for a hit. Almost as though they were an addict that needs a hit of the energy of the connection, which, as you of course know, is so intense. And so because they are still in a lower level of consciousness, they haven't yet fully anchored 5D consciousness, unconditional love and above, there is still need in the energy field in how they are approaching. So you will feel that. You will also feel anxious instead of grounded. It may even feel like overjoy, like strong energetic surges and waves that feel really intense. The energy will feel rushed and urgent, almost as though the reunion might slip through your fingers if you don't catch it. Bear in mind that full multi-dimensional union does not feel rushed. It does not feel urgent. It feels inevitable. Inevitable. It's something we rise into within ourselves first. You may also feel, or you may experience, thought loops around reunion or union being the solution to all your problems. So feeling like certain areas of your life are still really unstable and fantasizing about how union would make those issues or challenges disappear or go away. That is magical thinking. That's fantastical thinking. And it's not grounded in truth, in reality. It's grounded in expectation and control, in fear-based consciousness rather than love. There will be a lack of commitment and clarity, so inconsistent behavior. You may be unsure what their intentions are. As I said, high levels of desire and lust. There will be premature physical emerging, and you will notice that in this type of reunion cycle that may actually last a few weeks, a few months, who knows? This isn't linear when it comes to time, but this reunion, this relationship is still operating within a 3D to 4D level of consciousness, despite having 5D peak moments. And this is crucial, even though they're your twin, even though they're your counterpart, and you may know, you may be sure they are your divine counterpart. The relationship and the dynamic is still running on a lower level of consciousness. So something will feel off. You'll know they're the one, but you'll know it's not quite right. And in fact, it really takes a lot of courage to let go of a moment like this. and to accept that both need more purification, and that more healing and more field work needs to take place before both are ready. It might be really difficult, but if you're honest with yourself, you'll know that neither of you are yet at the level of your potential. And so you will just keep reenacting the same wounding and the same triggers as per the mirror dynamic between twins, until you accept that and take on that responsibility to do more of your mission work, your ancestral healing work, whatever clearing your souls signed up to do, right? So please do remember that every journey is completely unique. So you may experience any type of 3D physical re-entry, right? Re-entry in the physical form. And this will depend on your specific dynamic and your soul bond. But what truly matters is the energy behind it, is the invitation that's extended to you by the divine, by God, by your higher self, to learn to read the field, to learn to not look to the words in the 3D or the actions in the 3D to receive answers, but rather to read the energy beneath it, to ask for revelation, and to refine and trust one's own intuition. And so if you're experiencing a karmic re-entry, trust that this is exactly what you need. This is exactly what your higher selves orchestrated to help you see beyond what you had been able to see, so that it could expose the places within you where you weren't free yet, where you were carrying more than your burden, where you still had to focus and cultivate self-love and self-respect. So let me just outline for you the typical forms of re-entry that you may experience. This is practically speaking, so you know what to look for. You may experience a casual run-in, so you might bump into your counterpart unexpectedly because the field is ready and there is another a layer of healing that needs to be triggered, or because you're in your full physical convergence, but the universe and your higher selves, the sacred intelligence that runs through all of life, will bring you together as the space between you energetically becomes smaller and smaller. They may initially just view a story of yours online on one of your social media platforms, your Facebook page, your Instagram profile. They may unblock you if they had blocked you before, and that will be a sign that there's a softening. Usually the unblocking will happen when it's more of a full physical convergence window rather than a karmic reentry, because karmic reentries tend to happen before the deepest part of separation and silence that comes during the masculine or the matrix twins ego collapse and nervous system reset and recalibration. They might like a picture, a story, a post, or you may receive a casual text. You may receive an unexpected phone call, an email. Who knows? This will depend on your unique story, your unique union unfolding. So the key, regardless if you are facing one type or the other, what is the key? The key is moment to moment discernment, learning to cultivate it, learning to practice it, and learning to apply it. And how do we do that? Well, how you feel is your greatest indicator for what type of opening you're experiencing. Your greatest indicator. Of course, you can look to signs and synchronicities, and you can learn to read the field on the outside. But your greatest indicator is how you feel. It's your nervous system. Your nervous system is your oracle, actually. And you will know. Most of us can sense the shifts in the field in real time as they're happening well before there is a physical reentry. So it is about learning to remain sovereign and loving. That is our graduation into self-mastery, learning to remain sovereign and loving as it's unfolding, even when there are no guarantees in the physical realm. So let's emphasize how we practice discernment. Let's go deeper into how we do that. Well, we discern through our nervous system, as I was saying, and through the energy field, not the mind. The mind will trick us. The mind will pull us back into old neural pathways. And the whole purpose of this journey is to transform and to rewire those pathways so that we don't allow our mind to lead the way. We don't allow our ego to lead the way, but rather we are fully led by our higher self. So our nervous system tells us the truth way before the mind catches up. So a good question to ask yourself is, do you have a parasympathetic nervous system baseline? Because if you do, that is a great indicator that you are actually entering a physical reunion window, or you are in a physical reunion window rather than a karmic reentry cycle that's meant to show you where you still need to address your conditioning, your limitation, your ancestral wounding, and your mission and soul blueprint. Also, if you're experiencing high spikes of energy or overjoy, those may be signs of dysregulation rather than union readiness. Intense energetic waves mean that the field is still destabilized. So there is nothing wrong with it. Just learn to observe that from a place of non-judgment and to practice self-compassion, total acceptance of where you're at on the journey, not wanting to speed things up because that's what's going to allow union to land later on when you are ready. Land in a sustainable and long-term fashion, as opposed to just another cycle that's going to end in another separation. True union, bear in mind, another way to discern which type of window you're experiencing. It feels calm. True union feels steady. It feels anchored, even if it's awkward, even if it's stretched out, even if it's anticlimactic and it's not what you expected, which it often is not. Even if that's the case, it still feels calm. There is no urgency. And you would have been feeling its approach, even if your mind was resisting, or even if your mind wasn't really able to name what was happening. You would know, you would have a profound connection to your own intuition and to God, to your higher self, and you will be aligned. You would have integrated the majority of the shadow aspects of your psyche, so there is coherence amongst the composing parts of your mind, body, spirit complex. So at the end of the day, the most important takeaway message of this video is to focus on allowing judgment of the 3D path, the 3D reality to dissolve, so we can anchor a higher vantage point, a higher station of identity, a high level of consciousness for ourselves and for our counterpart. So we stop seeing physical union as the end-all be-all, but rather as a beautiful unfolding of that which was always there beneath the surface. Our union frequency is always there in the higher realms. And this is simply the journey toward anchoring that vibrational frequency in human form, in the physical vessel. And that's a beautiful yet painful, but nonetheless transformative, rewarding, and sacred journey of what we're here to do as twins, as counterparts. So I hope that this video may inspire you to stay grounded, to ask for assistance when you need it, to practice discernment, and to earnestly devote yourself to this path, to the embodiment of your highest potential, of your God or goddess frequency, and that we all may unite in this beautiful awakening, in the restoration of the original heaven templates on earth. What we're doing is magnificent. It's nothing short of miraculous. So I hope to have inspired you on your journey. And of course, if you need assistance to determine what type of reunion window you're experiencing, or to receive guidance from your higher self, from the divine, if you want my claircognizant insight on where you're at on the journey, I am delighted to assist fellow twins. So don't hesitate to reach out. You can find the links to book one-to-one sessions with me down in the description box below. And of course, do like and subscribe to my channel if you're enjoying this content. It helps the message get across, or it helps me get the message across, so that this continues to grow, our community continues to strengthen, and we can together continue to shift the frequency on planet Earth and align further with our divinely appointed missions. I wish you all a lovely, lovely day. Let me know if you're resonating with this content in the comments section. As always, I send you all so much love, and I hope to see you very soon in the next video. I will dive deeper into what to do and what not to do during a reunion window. So stay tuned. All the best to you always. I love you all so much.